Once I drifted out.
If you've ever listened to a cappella music or heard people just spontaneously start singing harmony parts, it can seem a little bit like magic. So, how does harmony really work? Well, the simplest explanation is that singing harmony is basically just singing a chord. That is, a triad, a three-note chord composed of root, third, and fifth. When one of the notes of the triad is the melody note, the other two are the harmony notes. They complete the chord. These three intervals are really all we need to produce simple bare-bones harmony. Whenever the melody moves, the harmony moves to the notes of the chord that the melody is currently not singing, filling in the gaps so that the vocals as a whole are a full chord. So all you need to understand harmony is a basic knowledge of chord theory. You just need to understand the triads being sung in the song and where the melody is. So let's suppose that a melody singer, also referred to as a lead singer, sings a B note over a G major chord. In other words, the song is over a G chord. If you had a guitarist strumming along, he would be strumming a G chord, and the melody note in this case is the third tone of that chord. So the melody note being sung is B, the third tone of the G chord, and we need to find the harmony notes. If we want to put a harmony line on the closest interval higher than the lead, aka the tenor interval, we'd simply think about the triad and see that because our melody note is the third, the fifth is the closest harmony note that's above the melody. In the case of the G major triad, the closest note in the triad above B, so the tenor singer would be singing the note D. Now let's add a harmony on the closest interval lower than the lead. This is known as the baritone line, and using the same thought process as before, we can see that the baritone singer will be singing the root note if the melody is on the third. So the baritone part in this case is the root note G, and we have a completed triad. Like I said before, whenever the melody moves, the harmony parts move to the notes left behind. So if we're still over the same chord and the melody moves up to the fifth, the baritone is going to move up and sing the third. The tenor got knocked out of the fifth by the melody, so he'll move up as well and sing the root note of the chord, which is the same note that the baritone was singing, but up an octave. This process applies no matter what chord or note you're singing over. All you have to do is sing the appropriate note of the triad. You can also add accidentals, substitutions, or play around with altering certain harmony notes to give a section more flavor, and there you go. Three-part harmony. This concept of singing triads is known as the vocal stack. We're stacking harmonies on top of each other in order to sing a chord. The common form of a three-part stack, which is often used in barbershop quartets for instance, is lead in the middle, baritone below, and tenor above. But there are also variations of the stack that might have the tenor interval an octave lower, for instance, so there will be two harmonies below the lead. Or they might place the baritone interval an octave higher, with two harmonies above the lead. Hey, wait. What about bass singers? Well, the bass is essentially just doing whatever he wants this entire time. Just kidding. Kind of. The bass line serves as sort of the anchor in harmony. You might be familiar with left-hand bass lines on the piano, or thumb bass lines in fingerstyle guitar, or plucked bass lines on a bass. This line mainly consists of the root and fifth of each chord, with additional walks and such. Some purposes of this are to add more weight to the lower register, bleed the air between chords, and so on. The bass can sometimes seem a little bit unrelated to the main triad, mainly because there are sometimes gaps between the bass and baritone notes, unlike between the baritone and lead, or the lead and tenor. These harmony parts are sounding suspiciously like voice types. Are they related somehow? No, well, not really. Harmony parts in theory are unrelated to voice types, but for some reason we ended up naming 3 of the 4 parts in quartet harmony after voice types. Or maybe it was the other way around. They're not 100% unrelated though, since it is pretty normal for a tenor to like singing tenor parts, for instance, or a bass lines, or a baritone to have no talent for either low notes or high notes and just get roped in with quartet last minute because he can sing on pitch even though he has 1 octave vocal range. So yes, harmony can be somewhat confusing at first, especially if, for instance, you come from maybe a more choral background. Choirs sing in harmony, but have every single note written out for each arrangement and usually don't follow the rules for which part is singing which interval. Whereas something like a barbershop quartet, for instance, instead of relying on reading or memorizing each note, would have each member recall simple guidelines for which note to choose. Tenor is always a third above the melody, baritone is always a third below. This allows for singing harmony on the fly, and this is the best method to be familiar with if you just want to sing a harmony part over a given melody line. Just pick either below or above the lead, and pick either the tenor or baritone interval. Hang on. So I'm supposed to think about and find every single note seconds before I have to sing it? At first, you will, because you've never done it before. But as you sing harmony more and more, and listen to harmony more and more, it becomes more and more natural. And you won't have to think, okay, the melody's on the third of a D major chord and I'm singing the baritone, so I'm supposed to sing the root of D. Instead, you'll be developing a better and better ability to hear intervals over time, aka relative pitch, and soon you won't really have to think about where the next note is. You'll just find yourself singing it. And while harmony singing may seem just like pure natural talent that only some people can have, keep in mind there's really just a level of familiarity with the process that's practiced and refined over time.